Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is January 28th, 2020. Coming to you with a message today. My guides didn't even let me finish getting ready, so my hair is in a bun. I started getting this message early this morning with my coffee. And so all of it is really interesting to me. I thought I was going to get a message this morning about what's going on with the coronavirus. And then it was like it didn't go, let's just say it didn't go where I thought it was going to go. So this morning when I woke up, I immediately knew it was time I had to journal and just start getting the message that was coming through. It was that prominent this morning. And when I started actually writing down and taking notes, it was 7-Eleven, and I was prompted to look up the angel numbers for 7-Eleven, which was talking about being aware of your thoughts. So it says, when I looked it up, I got, be aware of how dangerous. So we need to realize how important it is what we speak, because what we think and what we speak are super, super important. And so we've got to be aware of how destructive negative thoughts and negative and destructive thoughts, like anything that's a less than thought, or like, right now there's a lot of fear and panic. So any of those thoughts that fall into or feed into fear and panic are something that you really have to watch. And I apologize for the lighting today, you guys. I have tried every which way, but it's just going to have to be what it is. So, today the message is kind of a wake-up call. And so those of you that have followed me before, you kind of know my process. Those of you that are new, if you're new to YouTube, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. You can join the Facebook community where we go deeper into some conversation about some of the messages that come through. And then if you want to go even deeper, you can find my Patreon channel. So welcome if you're new. If you're new to me, maybe watch a few of the other videos or come into the community so that you can get a little bit familiar with me and who I am and the messages that I'm bringing through. So today, as I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I want to be very clear on what the message is. And I always pray first before any message. And today I have different guides that help me through each reading, but today was Jesus, and actually Mary Magdalene came in too. So this morning it was really interesting because as I started getting in that place of prayer, Jesus came in, and it was really interesting because he came in and then he kind of knelt down on his knees, almost like if you're talking to a child when you're trying to calm them down. Like as an adult, if I was working with a child, I would like basically get down on their level, like look at them and have that communication. So it was almost like he was coming in as if to comfort, and like get down to, it just reminded me, the picture I got was like, as an adult, if you're helping a child that just fell down or whatever, it's instinctual to like get down and be on their level and talk to them on their level instead of when you're trying to comfort them, right? Or so anyway, there was something about getting the message through, and what he meant by this is just calm down. So, and again, you guys, I have this with the intention of finding out what's going on with this coronavirus. So basically it's calm down. The next thing was to pray as if it's okay instead of praying worry. Now, this is something that I've heard before, and this is not a new message from me. The one thing when I was younger, I felt like it's almost like we would pray a worry list instead of praying a praise list, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that's just me in the way that I was raised, or if this is something that all churches or like most people, I don't know. But I'm just saying, when you're praying, instead of saying, oh God, please help all the people that are so sick and it's so scary and we don't know what we're doing, and can you just please send somebody to help, and that's the worry list, right? So instead of praying that, because that goes into the negative thoughts, right? The dangerous thoughts. And we're told that our words are like a sword, right? So like the words we speak can be deadly if they're being used like a sword. So be aware of how you speak and how you think right now. It's very, very important of that. Another message that I got a few weeks ago was instant manifestation. So with that in mind, because that's just what popped in my head was when they were talking about that the other day, the instant manifestation. So first of all, calm down. Second of all, pray as if it's okay instead of the worry list. So instead of the, oh my God, I hope it's going to be okay, pray, Father God, I thank you for sending the intuition and the angels to help whoever it is that's going to find a cure to this. I pray that you give people the instinct to know how to take care of themselves so that they don't get sick. Father God, I ask angels around all the people who are already sick, right? Like so praying in a positive way is much more beneficial than praying the worry list. And you guys can look it up. Like, the prayers have been proven that when people pray together at a specific time, it can create a different outcome. And I'm not going to look it up today, but I know that I've Googled this before. And I want to say, like, in the city of Chicago or something, there was they measured the amount of crime that happened in a specific time frame, why there was a group of people praying for that area. So anyway, just to kind of throw that out there, it's about, Jesus is saying, just pray positive. That's the word he says, pray positive. Now, personally, in the past, I have mentioned and said it almost feels like end times. I don't know if I've said that like publicly, but I know inside my groups, we've talked about this. Now, I don't want anybody to go and panic, because it's not a time to panic. It's a time to wake up, right? It's a wake up call. So, and what I wrote down is that the end times is about awakening people to spiritual truth. So if you're feeling like that resonates, if you feel like maybe this is the end times, it's not about like, everything's gonna, the whole world's gonna die. It's not that at all. And again, that goes back into the very first thing that they told me was, watch your thoughts, be paying attention to your thoughts. Don't go down the negative road. So when I was sitting there talking about that, about in the past, I felt end times, and I'm referring to my notes, you guys. So just so you know, I took a bunch of notes today. I have 2 pages. So, and this is all part of the message that was coming through. So what I was being told today, and what I'm hearing, is that the end times is about awakening people to spiritual truth. And then it was in that moment, that's when I felt like Mary Magdalene came in and put a hand on my shoulder. So I've got Jesus with me. I've got Mary Magdalene. And of course, when Jesus was there, I sat with him, right? So she put like her hand on my shoulder and said, it's time to and she said, stay strong. So I did a message from Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary about a year ago, I think, and that is still valid. So anyway, she's saying stay strong, and with the hand on the shoulder, it's almost like you're supported. Okay, so whoever's hearing this message, know that you're supported. Okay, what was really, really interesting then is that I'm like, well, what is the message here? Because I don't want to start talking end times and get people all freaked out. But they brought me to Revelation 3, which talks about the different churches, right? So the one that was interesting to me, and the one theme throughout that, there was one of the things that I looked up, it was the dead church. And then there was also whoever has ears to hear. And that is something that came to me a few days ago. I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and I said, this is what they're saying. And who am I to bring that message, right? But here it is today in my face again. And when these messages come through, you guys, I have to bring them in. So I will say right now, if you're wanting to argue, or if you're wanting to like start an argument or a fight about religion, this is not the channel. I will delete the comment. We're not handling that. We're not doing that. This is a positive channel. Only the best, highest, and best love. Now, if you want to have a conversation about what can I do to help, or how can I uplift other people, absolutely, we'll talk about that. But we're not going to go into dogma. We're not going to go into religious like laws and things like that, because there's so many religions on this earth, even in Christianity alone, and they never agree. So we're not even going to go there. Our focus is love and bringing lightness and bringing happiness and joy and peace. Okay, so that being said, and if you're wanting to join the Facebook group, you won't be accepted if that's the tone that you're going to have. So I'm just going to throw that out there right now, because I am only talking about love in the highest. Okay. So when I was reading this about Revelations, what they told me was to find church within. And that was what they said, is find church within. So when I kind of was pondering that, I'm like, so how do I bring that? What does that mean? And so what I heard is, you bring church into your heart. So you have church in your heart. It's important to go to church. It's important to have the community, but not if it's to bash other churches, not if it's to bash other people, not if it's to judge, any of those kind of things. That is not what church is about. Church is about bringing into yourself, into your own heart, the love and truth, and then you getting clear on your beliefs. Okay, so this is something that's been coming up too, is to We've got to stop accepting what we're told. We need to start questioning the beliefs we have, the habits we have, and why we believe those things. Like, I know that God is real. I know that Jesus is real. And I know that there's truth. And I know that above all, God is love. Beyond that, I trust what my intuition says. And when I get these specific verses, I trust what they're showing me. Okay. So what was interesting is when I was looking at this, they told me find church, and so this is Jesus and Mary Magdalene is who I'm talking to this morning. And they said church with quotes, and they said find church within yourself, within your heart, and within your own beliefs. So find out what church is to you. Look into your inner heart and find out what beliefs do you hold. Are you holding judgment? Are you holding they're wrong and you're right? Those kind of things. If so, you need to question that. And what's more important is to focus on love and truth. Okay. Then I was told to look up religion. And if you look at the original, so the origin of the word is in Latin, and it's like, now I can't even read my own writing. Sometimes whenever I channel, I don't write very well. It's like religare, and it means to bind or an obligation. So that's really interesting, because I've been feeling like religion as a whole is going to be shaken up a little bit. And I feel like, of course, this makes sense. So what they were asking you to look at within yourself is, are you doing religion out of obligation? So is your spirituality about really growing within yourself, getting into your true heart, learning more about love, following the highest and best in everything? Or are you just doing religion because it's an obligation that you're supposed to do, right? In the Embody Grace Challenge right now, there was a couple days where we talked about what you should do, right? Like, this is what we're supposed to do because this is what we should do because this is what we've been told all of our life, that this is what we're supposed to do. So that being said, the big overall message is it's time to wake up, be aware of your thoughts, the power of prayer, and praying positively, awakening to spiritual truth. You're supported. Whoever has ears to hear, this message is for whoever has ears to hear. If it's time for you to awaken, you'll hear this and you'll understand it, and it'll mean something to you, whatever that is. Like, just trust yourself of what this means. And then be aware of, where are you doing religion out of obligation, and how can you shift that to wanting to have spirituality because you want to have your own spiritual growth. Okay. So then I'm like, okay, when I originally was sitting here this morning, I thought we were going to be talking about the coronavirus. So how does this relate to the coronavirus? And they said, don't send out panic and fear. So going back to the negative and destructive thoughts, don't send out panic and fear. Okay. And then they said, do what you can to keep obviously do what you can to stay healthy. Right. And they said, really, with this, especially, it's about being physically, mentally, and emotional healthy. So do what you can physically, drink plenty of water, get outside, get some fresh air, like go for a walk, get vitamin C, like look at herbs and things that help you stay clean or stay healthy. And then they said, clean your space. So make sure you're washing your hands, make sure maybe wipe down the steering wheel of your car, clean out the house. And so it was so funny because I was like, sage and Lysol, which is funny because I don't use Lysol hardly ever because I use natural cleaning products. But so it's like, use the herbs that keep your body vital. Like use herbs that are known to prevent viruses. Take your vitamin C, keep your body strong, clean your house. So like I said, sage is known to also clear like viruses and I think it's like antibodies. There was something about sage and how if you put sage in a room, it actually will clear some of the things that can make you sick. So and then it was interesting because I heard guard your emotions, and I'm like, okay, we need to expand on this, because when you say guard your emotions, you don't want to be guarded in the fact that you're not going to let your emotions out or you're not going to deal with your emotions, but you want to be guarded in the fact that you're not taking on the negative scare, fear energy into your own emotions. So don't fall into that propaganda. Be aware of your own emotional state. Be aware of your own mental state. Like, what thoughts are you thinking? Are you like falling into the fear pattern, or can you keep your emotions solid and secure, knowing that all is well in divine truth? So that was really interesting. And then the biggest message they said is, remember that life is cyclical. So there's always a cycle. Okay. And I mean, and then when I'm thinking about that, then I immediately think of Ecclesiastes 3, which is, there's a time and a place for everything, right? But what was really interesting is when I looked that up, and this is something, you guys, that I've been talking about a lot, is that it's important for us to learn to embody grace. Okay, so for me, Embody Grace, that's my book, that's my program, that's my, even on my website, like everything I talk about is about embodying grace. And it's about letting go of what people say you should do, knowing what's right for you, trusting your own heart, getting in line with what's true for you. Like, we all have our own little divine spark, you guys. We're all here for something different. So what is it that you're here to do? And getting in line with that, right? And then what was the verse that I was brought to out of that whole chapter, because I looked at the whole chapter thinking, okay, to every time there's a season, which part of this am I supposed to look at? And they brought me all the way to 3:12 and 13, which is, I know that nothing is better for them than to rejoice and do good. So you guys, this is about learning how to not fall into fear, knowing that life is a cycle. Death and rebirth happens all the time. And we have in history, these viruses happen, right? So the more that you can trust that I'm trying to figure out I feel like a broken record, because it always comes back to all is well in divine truth. So when you can trust that, that all is well in divine truth, when you can be aware of your thoughts, when you can really be in that power of prayer and praying positive, as what Jesus is saying is praying positive. And then just being aware of, like, what do I want my spiritual life to be? How can I expand what I'm doing? Of course, taking care of the physical things we have to do, because we're on this planet. We are physical. We have to deal with, taking the vitamin C or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's a lot of herbs and things that are really good. If anybody's interested, I am all about Nature's Sunshine and Melaleuca products. Those are my two hardcore that I've for 20 years, and I will never probably vary from that. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We can talk about the herbs and things that are working. I know for me personally, about a week ago, I just got this really weird feeling, and I messaged all my kids and I said, okay, guys, look, you're taking VSC and silver from now until I decide it's not. Like, you've got to just support your immune system. And those products are specifically for viral. So I'm like, just take a few every day just to keep your immune system healthy, like giving it a little bolster so that if they do come in contact with the virus, they won't hopefully get as sick, right? I don't expect them to, but why not be prepared, right? So that being said, if you guys are interested in that, just let me know. But that's the overall message today. So I'm going to just end it there and remind you that nothing is better than to rejoice and do good. All right. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.